The starship EOS drifted quietly through the cold emptiness of space, its crew focused on their mission. Captain Liam Carter stood on the bridge, staring at the view screen as the distant planet slowly came into focus. It was a frozen world, covered in thick layers of ice that shimmered faintly under the light of a dying sun. The ship's sensors had picked up strange energy readings from beneath the surface, and Carter knew this could be the discovery they'd been searching for. Dr. Rachel Monroe, the ship's xenobiologist, leaned over her console, her eyes scanning the data pouring in. She was eager to learn more about the source of the signals. "It's not natural," she said finally, turning to Carter. "Whatever it is, it's artificial." Carter nodded. "Anything dangerous?" Monroe hesitated. "I don't think so. At least, not yet." Lieutenant Alex Brooks, the ship's tactical officer, frowned. He didn't trust anything unfamiliar, especially when it involved alien technology. "We should proceed with caution," he warned. "We don't know what we're dealing with here." Despite Brooks' concerns, Carter gave the order to send a team down to investigate. Alongside Monroe, he chose 2 other crew members, Chief Engineer Daniel Hayes, who could assess any mechanical or technological aspects, and Ensign Claire Bennett, a young but skilled pilot who would stay with the shuttle to ensure a quick escape if needed. The landing party descended to the icy surface, their boots crunching against the frozen ground. The air was thin and bitterly cold, forcing them to rely on their suits' heating systems. Following the coordinates provided by the ship's scanners, they soon reached the spot where the energy readings were strongest. Buried deep beneath the ice was a massive structure, too symmetrical and precise to be a natural formation. "This has to be it," Monroe whispered, her voice filled with awe. She knelt down, brushing away some of the frost to reveal smooth metallic panels etched with intricate patterns. "It's definitely alien." Hayes examined the object closely, running his scanner over its surface. "It's dormant right now," he reported, "but there's still residual energy inside. Whatever this thing is, it hasn't been active for a long time." As Monroe studied the symbols carved into the artifact, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were meant to communicate something important. "Maybe these are instructions," she suggested, "or a warning." Brooks glanced around nervously. "Let's not jump to conclusions. We need to figure out how to shut it down before we do anything else." But curiosity got the better of them. When Monroe accidentally triggered a small control panel while examining the carvings, the artifact hummed to life. A blinding flash of light erupted from its center, followed by a series of strange noises, like a mix of clicks, whirs, and tones. Before anyone could react, the device sent out a pulse of energy that shot upward into space. "What did you just do?" Brooks demanded, his voice rising. I didn't mean to," Monroe stammered, stepping back. "I was only trying to understand the symbols." Back on the EOS alarms began blaring as the ship detected the energy pulse racing across the galaxy. Carter rushed to the bridge, his face grim. "Report," he barked. "It's gone," the communications officer replied. "The signal. It's traveling faster than anything we've ever seen. We can't track it anymore." Carter clenched his fists. "Do we have any idea what we just activated?" Before anyone could answer, the sensors picked up movement in the distance. Several large ships were approaching rapidly, their designs unlike anything the crew had encountered before. They were sleek and organic looking, almost as if they were alive. And they were heading straight for the EOS. The mood aboard the ship shifted instantly. Excitement turned to fear, and questions raced through everyone's minds. What had they awakened? And why were these ships coming toward them? Captain Carter took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Whatever happened next, one thing was clear. Humanity had just stepped into something far bigger and far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. The alien ships loomed closer, their strange, organic shapes glowing faintly against the blackness of space. Captain Liam Carter stood on the bridge of the EOS, his jaw tight as he watched the vessels approach. The crew worked frantically at their stations, trying to make sense of the situation. No one spoke. They didn't need to. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. "Captain," the communications officer called out, breaking the silence. "They're attempting to contact us." Carter nodded. "Put it on screen." The view screen flickered to life, revealing an image that made everyone freeze. Instead of faces or figures, there were only swirling patterns of light and sound. Strange, pulsating colors accompanied by rhythmic tones that seemed almost musical. Dr. Rachel Monroe, who had returned from the planet's surface, stepped forward. "It's some kind of language," she said quickly. "Let me try to decode it." For several tense minutes, the bridge was filled with the eerie sounds of the alien transmission. Monroe worked furiously at her console, inputting data and running algorithms. Finally, the tones began to shift, resolving into fragmented words and phrases. The message became clearer, though it was still difficult to fully understand. "They say, they are the Valith," Monroe translated haltingly. Her voice trembled slightly as she continued. "They claim we've activated something sacred, something dangerous." Lieutenant Alex Brooks frowned. "Sacred, dangerous. What does that even mean?" Monroe shook her head. "I don't know yet, but they're saying this activation is a declaration of war." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. War? Against what? And why would activating an ancient artifact trigger such a response? Before anyone could ask more questions, the Valith ships moved again, spreading out in a formation that surrounded the *EOS*. One of the larger vessels sent another burst of light and sound, this time more direct. Through Monroe's translation efforts, they learned the truth. The artifact was not created by the Valith, but by their enemies, an extinct race known as the Caliph. According to the Valith, the device was designed as a test for any species advanced enough to find and activate it. "If you survive our judgment," Monroe read aloud, translating carefully, "you may live. If not..." She trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. Carter clenched his fists. "We didn't mean to activate anything. This was a mistake." But the Valith weren't interested in explanations. Their next transmission made that painfully clear. "You have declared yourselves unworthy," Monroe translated grimly. "Prepare to face justice." The crew braced themselves as the Valith ships began moving closer, weapons charging. It was obvious now that diplomacy wasn't going to work. At least, not yet. Carter turned to Brooks. "Raise shields and prepare evasive maneuvers. We won't go down without a fight." Brooks hesitated. "Sir, we're outnumbered and outgunned. Our weapons aren't designed for this kind of engagement." "I know," Carter replied sharply, "but we don't have a choice." As the first blasts hit the *EOS*, shaking the ship violently, Chief Engineer Daniel Hayes rushed onto the bridge. "We can't take much more of this," he shouted over the alarms. "Their weapons are tearing through our defenses." Carter thought quickly. "Divert all available power to the engines. We need to buy ourselves some time." Hayes nodded and ran back to engineering, barking orders to his team. Meanwhile, Monroe remained glued to her console, trying to find a way to communicate further with the Valith. She believed there had to be a way to reason with them, even if they seemed intent on destruction. "Captain," she said suddenly, her eyes lighting up, "I think I found something. A pattern in their transmissions. They value intelligence and adaptability. Maybe if we show them we're capable of learning, they'll reconsider." Carter glanced at her, skeptical but willing to try anything. "Do it. But hurry." Monroe sent a series of mathematical equations and logical puzzles back to the Valith ships, hoping to demonstrate humanity's problem-solving abilities. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, unexpectedly, the attack stopped. The Valith responded with a new message: "Prove your worth." Though the reprieve was temporary, it gave the crew a glimmer of hope. Whatever came next, they knew they'd have to think fast, and act faster, if they wanted to survive. Back aboard the *EOS*, The crew scrambled to regroup after the sudden halt in the Valeth attack. Captain Liam Carter paced the bridge, his mind racing. The brief pause had given them a chance to breathe, but everyone knew it wouldn't last long. The Valeth's message, "Prove your worth," hung heavy in the air. What did it mean? And how could they possibly meet the demands of such an advanced and mysterious species? "We need a plan," Carter said finally, breaking the silence. "And we need one now." Lieutenant Alex Brooks stepped forward, his expression grim. "Sir, our weapons are useless against them. Their ships are faster, stronger, and more advanced than anything we've ever seen. A direct fight is suicide." Carter nodded. "Then we'll have to outsmart them." Ideas. Chief Engineer Daniel Hayes spoke up from where he stood near the engineering console. "We can retrofit the ship's engines to create a high-powered electromagnetic pulse. It might disable some of their systems long enough for us to escape or find cover." "That's risky," Brooks countered. "If it doesn't work, we'll be sitting ducks." "It's better than doing nothing," Hayes shot back. "Besides, we don't have many options left." Dr. Rachel Monroe, who had been quietly observing the discussion, chimed in. "What about diplomacy? We've already shown them we're intelligent by solving their puzzle. Maybe there's still a way to negotiate." Carter hesitated. He wanted to believe Monroe was right, but the Valeth's earlier actions made him doubt their willingness to listen. "Diplomacy hasn't worked so far," he said firmly, "but we'll keep trying while we prepare for the worst. Hayes, get started on that EMP idea. Brooks, start mapping out possible routes for retreat. Monroe, keep working on communication with the Valeth. Let's not leave any stone unturned." As the crew dispersed to carry out their tasks, tension simmered just below the surface. Monroe stayed on the bridge, staring at her console as she tried to decipher more of the Valeth's language. She replayed their messages over and over, searching for hidden meanings or clues that might help humanity survive. Though she remained hopeful, part of her feared the Valeth saw humans as little more than pests, unworthy of mercy. Meanwhile, Hayes and his team worked tirelessly in engineering to modify the ship's engines. Sparks flew as they rewired circuits and rerouted power lines, knowing their lives depended on getting the EMP ready in time. Sweat dripped down Hayes' face as he shouted instructions to his crew. "Hurry up," he barked. "We don't know when they'll strike again." On the bridge, Brooks plotted potential escape routes using the ship's navigation system. He identified an asteroid field nearby that could provide temporary cover. "It's not perfect," he admitted to Carter, "but it's our best shot. If we can lose them among the rocks, we might buy ourselves enough time to come up with a better plan." Carter nodded approvingly. "Good work. Prepare the coordinates." As hours passed, the mood aboard the EOS grew heavier. Every beep of the sensors and every flash on the view screen sent shivers down their spines. Were the Valeth watching them, waiting for the right moment to strike? No one knew, and the uncertainty weighed heavily on everyone. Finally, Hayes reported back to the bridge. "The EMP is ready," he announced. "One blast should knock out their shields and disrupt their targeting systems. For a short while, at least." Carter let out a slow breath. "All right, everyone, listen up. Here's what we're going to do." Before he could finish, the alarms blared once more. The Valeth fleet was moving again, closing in on the EOS. Bright beams of energy streaked toward them, shaking the ship violently. Crew members stumbled, grabbing onto consoles to steady themselves. "Now," Carter yelled. Hayes activated the EMP, sending a burst of electromagnetic energy surging outward. For a moment, everything went silent. The hum of the engines, the crackle of enemy fire, even the blinking lights on the control panels, all stopped. Then, slowly, the Valeth ships began to falter. Some drifted aimlessly, their sleek forms darkened as their systems failed. "Go! Go! Go!" Carter shouted. Brooks didn't hesitate. He punched in the coordinates for the asteroid field and fired up the engines. The EOS lurched forward, weaving through space as stray blasts from the recovering Vailith ships narrowly missed them. Behind them, the alien fleet began to recover, their glowing forms reigniting with deadly intent. For now, the humans had escaped, but they all knew the battle was far from over. The EOS darted into the asteroid field, its battered hull groaning under the strain of rapid maneuvers. Captain Liam Carter gripped the armrests of his chair as Lieutenant Alex Brooks guided the ship through the chaotic maze of rocks and debris. The asteroids were close together, their jagged surfaces glinting faintly in the dim light of a distant star. Behind them, the Vailith fleet followed, though their movements were slower now, hindered by the dense field. "We've bought ourselves some time," Brooks said, his voice tense but focused. "But they're still coming." Carter nodded grimly. "How long until they catch up?" "Not long," Brooks replied. "Their ships are faster than ours, even in here. We'll need another trick if we want to stay ahead." Dr. Rachel Monroe sat at her console, scrolling through data she had gathered during their brief encounters with the Vailith, her brow furrowed as she analyzed patterns in their behavior and technology. Suddenly, her eyes widened. "Captain, I think I've found something important." "What is it?" Carter asked, leaning closer. "The Vailith aren't purely biological," Monroe explained. "Their ships, and possibly their bodies, are part synthetic. They seem to integrate technology directly into themselves, almost like upgrades." Chief Engineer Daniel Hayes frowned. "You mean they assimilate other species? Like, take what they need and leave the rest?" Monroe hesitated before nodding. "It's possible. If that's true, then maybe we can exploit this. Their reliance on technology might be a weakness." Carter considered her words carefully. "If we can target their systems, disrupt their connection between biology and machines, we might stand a chance." Monroe nodded eagerly. "Exactly. But we'll need to get close enough to test it." Brooks raised an eyebrow. "Close enough? Are you serious? That's suicide." "It's risky," Monroe admitted, "but it's our best shot. If we can disable even one of their ships, it could give us the edge we need." Carter thought for a moment, weighing the risks. Finally, he made his decision. "All right. Brooks, find us a position where we can ambush them without getting surrounded. Hayes, prepare whatever weapons we have left. Monroe, keep monitoring their systems. Look for vulnerabilities." As the crew sprang into action, tension filled the air. Brooks steered the EOS deeper into the asteroid field, searching for the perfect spot. Hayes worked quickly to recalibrate the ship's remaining firepower, while Monroe stayed glued to her console, analyzing every scrap of data she could gather. Minutes later, Brooks signaled that he'd found a narrow passage flanked by large asteroids. "This should do it," he said. "We can lure them in, then hit them hard when they're boxed in." Carter gave the order. "Set the trap. Let's make sure they don't see us coming." The EOS powered down non-essential systems, going dark as it waited silently among the rocks. On the view screen, the glowing forms of the Vailith ships grew larger as they entered the passage. Their movements were cautious, scanning the area for signs of the humans. "Now," Carter commanded. Hayes unleashed a barrage of modified energy blasts, targeting the lead Vailith ship. The attack struck true, causing visible damage to the vessel's sleek surface. Sparks erupted from its hull, and parts of it began to malfunction. The ship faltered, drifting slightly off course. "They're vulnerable," Monroe shouted excitedly. "Keep hitting their tech." The crew redoubled their efforts, focusing fire on the damaged ship. Another blast struck home, and the Vailith vessel shuddered violently before exploding in a burst of light. Debris scattered across the asteroid field, forcing the remaining Vailith ships to retreat temporarily. For a moment, the bridge was silent except for the sound of labored breathing. Then, slowly, cheers broke out among the crew. They had done the impossible. They had destroyed a Vailith ship. But Carter's expression remained grave. "Don't celebrate yet," he warned. "They'll be back, and they'll be angrier than ever. We've bought ourselves a little more time, but this fight isn't over." As the EO's slipped further into the asteroid field, the crew braced themselves for what lay ahead. Though they had won a small victory, the cost of their survival was becoming clearer with each passing moment. As the EO's continued to navigate the asteroid field, the crew worked quickly to repair the damage from the earlier battle. Sparks flew in engineering as Chief Engineer Daniel Hayes and his team patched up critical systems. The victory over one Valith ship had been a morale boost, but everyone knew it was only a matter of time before the rest of the fleet caught up. The temporary reprieve gave them a chance to regroup, but the tension aboard the ship remained high. Dr. Rachel Monroe sat at her console, studying the data she had collected during the ambush. She replayed the moment when the Valith ship exploded, analyzing every detail. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she cross-referenced the information with what she already knew about their biology and technology. Suddenly, her eyes widened. "Captain," she called out, turning to Liam Carter. "I think I've found something important." Carter stepped closer, his expression serious. "What is it?" "The Valith don't just use technology. They are technology," Monroe explained. "Their bodies are part organic, part synthetic. They've integrated machines into themselves, almost like enhancements. And those enhancements seem to be controlled by a central system." Lieutenant Alex Brooks frowned. "You mean they're connected? Like a network?" Monroe nodded. "Exactly. If we can disrupt that connection, we might be able to disable them, not just their ships, but the Valith themselves." Carter considered this for a moment. "Can we do it from here?" Monroe hesitated. "Not from the EO's asterisk. We'd need to get inside one of their ships, specifically their flagship. That's where the central control system is likely located." Brooks shook his head. "That's insane. Even if we could get aboard, how would we survive long enough to pull it off?" "It's risky," Carter admitted, "but it might be our only chance. If we can take out their command center, we could cripple their entire fleet." Before anyone could respond, a faint signal appeared on the sensors, a small ship approaching from the edge of the asteroid field. It wasn't Valith. Its design was different, sleeker, and less menacing. As it drew closer, it sent a message in broken but understandable language. "We are not enemies," the transmission read. "We wish to speak." The crew exchanged wary glances. Carter turned to Monroe. "Can you verify who they are?" Monroe studied the message carefully. "They're using Valith symbols, but the syntax is different. Whoever they are, they know the Valith, and they don't seem friendly with them." Carter made his decision. "Open a channel. Let's hear what they have to say." The view screen flickered to life, revealing an alien figure unlike the Valith. This being was tall and slender, with shimmering skin that seemed to shift colors. Her voice came through clearly, calm but urgent. "I am Scylla," she said. "We are dissidents, those who oppose the Valith Empire. You have declared war against them, and now they will stop at nothing to destroy you." Carter narrowed his eyes. "Why should we trust you?" Scylla tilted her head slightly. "Because we share a common enemy. The Valith see all other species as inferior, fit only for assimilation or extermination. We seek to end their reign, but we cannot do it alone." Monroe leaned forward. "What do you want from us?" Scylla's gaze was steady. "Your help. In exchange, we will guide you to their flagship and assist in disabling it. Together, we may stand a chance." The bridge fell silent as the crew processed her words. Finally, Carter spoke. "If this is a trap, we're dead." "It's not," Scylla replied simply. "And neither are you, at least, not yet." After a brief discussion, Carter agreed to work with Scylla. She provided them with coordinates and a plan to infiltrate the flagship, warning them of the dangers they would face. The mission would require stealth, precision, and sacrifice. But failure meant certain doom for both humanity and the dissidents. As preparations began, Carter pulled Monroe aside. "Do you think we can trust her?" Monroe hesitated. "I don't know, but right now she's the best chance we got." With no other options, the crew steeled themselves for what lay ahead. The alliance with Scylla was fragile, but it offered a glimmer of hope in an otherwise desperate situation. Whatever happened next, they knew the stakes were higher than ever. The plan was set, and the crew of the *EOS* prepared for one of the most dangerous missions they had ever faced. Captain Liam Carter gathered his team in the briefing room. Lieutenant Alex Brooks, Dr. Rachel Monroe, Chief Engineer Daniel Hayes, and Scylla, the Vailith dissident who had offered her help. The atmosphere was tense as Carter laid out the details. "We'll board the flagship disguised as prisoners," he explained. "Scylla's people will deliver us under the pretense that we're being transferred for interrogation. Once inside, we'll split into 2 teams. Brooks and I will plant explosives near the central core. Monroe and Hayes will disable the ship shields and disrupt their network." Brooks frowned. "What about Scylla? Where does she fit in?" Scylla stepped forward, her shimmering form catching the light. "I will guide you through the ship and ensure you reach your objectives. But remember, the Vailith are not easily fooled. You must act quickly and quietly." Monroe nodded, though her hands trembled slightly. "If we can disrupt their network, it might weaken their entire fleet, but we'll need to access their main control hub to do it." Carter looked at each of them in turn. "This is our best shot. If we fail, humanity and Scylla's people are finished. Let's not let that happen." The team suited up, arming themselves with modified weapons and tools provided by Scylla. They boarded a small transport ship piloted by the dissidents, who flew them toward the massive Vailith flagship. As they approached, the towering vessel loomed ahead, its sleek, organic design pulsating faintly with energy. The sight sent chills down everyone's spines. Once aboard, the humans were led through dimly lit corridors filled with strange biomechanical structures. The air was thick with a low hum, and the walls seemed to breathe, shifting subtly as if alive. Scylla stayed close, whispering instructions and warning them of patrols. "This way," she murmured, guiding them past a group of Vailith warriors. Their glowing forms moved silently, their synthetic enhancements clicking softly as they walked. The team reached a junction, where Carter signaled for the groups to split up. He and Brooks headed toward the central core, while Monroe and Hayes made their way to the control hub. Both paths were fraught with danger, but there was no time to hesitate. As Carter and Brooks moved deeper into the ship, they encountered automated defenses, floating drones that scanned for intruders. Brooks took aim, firing precise shots to disable them without raising alarms. "Keep moving," he whispered. "We're almost there." Meanwhile, Monroe and Hayes worked furiously at the control hub. Hayes connected his device to the alien interface, bypassing layers of security. "Got it," he muttered, typing rapidly. "I'm shutting down their shield generators." But just as he finished, a squad of Vailith warriors appeared, surrounding them. Hayes raised his weapon, but Monroe stepped forward. "Wait," she shouted. "They don't understand us yet." She began speaking in fragmented bits of the Vailith language, piecing together phrases she had learned during their earlier encounters. To everyone's surprise, the warriors paused, tilting their heads as if processing her words. It bought them enough time for Hayes to complete the sabotage. Back at the central core, Carter and Brooks planted the explosives, setting the timer for 5 minutes. "Let's go," Carter urged, turning to leave. But as they retraced their steps, they were ambushed by a group of Vailith soldiers. Brooks fired repeatedly, holding them off while Carter tried to find an escape route. "Go," Brooks yelled. "I'll hold them here." "Alex, no," Carter shouted, but Brooks pushed him away. "Get out of here." Reluctantly, Carter ran, leaving Brooks behind. Moments later, an explosion echoed through the corridor, signaling Brooks' sacrifice. Carter reunited with Monroe, Hayes, and Scylla near the rendezvous point. Together, they raced back to the transport ship, narrowly avoiding detection. As they launched away from the flagship, the explosives detonated, sending shockwaves through the massive vessel. The lights flickered and dimmed, and the once proud flagship began to drift lifelessly in space. On board the transport, the crew of the *EOS* stared back at the crippled ship, their hearts heavy with loss, but also hope. They had struck a critical blow, but the battle was far from over. The transport ship carrying Captain Liam Carter, Dr. Rachel Monroe, Chief Engineer Daniel Hayes, and Scylla sped away from the crippled Violet flagship. Behind them, the massive vessel drifted lifelessly, its glowing surface dimming as its systems failed. The explosion had done its job, disabling the central core and crippling the Violet fleet's command center. But the victory came at a cost. Lieutenant Alex Brooks had sacrificed himself to ensure the mission's success. As they approached the *EOS*, the crew aboard the starship cheered, though their celebration was muted by the weight of their losses. Brooks' bravery would not be forgotten, and his sacrifice weighed heavily on everyone's minds. Carter stepped onto the bridge, his face grim but determined. "Status report," he said quietly. "All remaining Violet ships are retreating," the sensors officer reported. "Their flagship is dead in space. They are falling back to regroup." Carter nodded. "Good. Let's give them something else to think about." He turned to the communications officer. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them what happened here and warn them about the Violet. Humanity needs to prepare for the possibility of another attack." Dr. Monroe stood nearby, staring out at the stars. Her mind raced with everything she had learned about the Violet, their biology, their technology, and their ruthless nature. She couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter was only the beginning. "We've made an enemy today," she murmured, "but we've also proven we can fight back." Scylla stepped forward, her shimmering form catching the light. "You have earned our respect," she said, addressing Carter and his crew. "Not many species could stand against the Violet and survive. My people will honor our agreement. We'll spread word of your courage among those who oppose the Empire." Carter gave a small nod. "Thank you for your help. Without you, we wouldn't have made it this far." Scylla hesitated before speaking again. "This war is far from over. The Violet will return, stronger and angrier than before. Be ready." With that, Scylla and her dissident allies departed, leaving the *EOS* to begin its long journey home. As the alien ships disappeared into the distance, the crew gathered on the bridge, reflecting on what they had endured. They had faced one of the most dangerous species in the galaxy and lived to tell the tale, but at great cost. Hayes broke the silence. "We got lucky this time," he said, leaning against a console. "But next time, who knows if we'll get another chance like this?" Monroe nodded. "We need to learn from this. Study the Violet, understand their weaknesses, and prepare ourselves better. If we don't, we won't survive another encounter." Carter listened silently, his thoughts swirling. He knew the road ahead would be difficult. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger, more dangerous universe, and there was no turning back now. "We'll do whatever it takes," he said finally. "Earth has to know what's out there, and we have to be ready." As the *EOS* set course for home, Carter stood alone on the observation deck, staring out at the endless expanse of stars. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but also threats beyond imagination. For every discovery, there was a risk. For every step forward, there was a price to pay. In the quiet moments, Carter allowed himself to grieve for Brooks and the others who had given their lives. Their bravery had saved humanity, but it was a reminder of how fragile their existence truly was. Still, he felt a spark of hope. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing toe-to-toe with the Violet, even if just barely. That meant something. Dr. Monroe joined him after a while, her expression thoughtful. "Do you think we're ready for all of this?" she asked softly. Carter didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, "No, not yet. but we will be. Together, they watched as the stars stretched past the ship, each one a mystery waiting to be uncovered. The journey home would take time, but when they arrived, they would share their story. A story of survival, sacrifice, and the resilience of the human spirit. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together.